Warner Brothers announcing that their entire 2021 lineup of movies will be streaming exclusive to HBO Max for 30 days after release. There's a movie that's dropping this weekend with Denzel Washington that I plan on watching Saturday night.
Oh yeah, I'm going to theaters. Yep.
Oh, well, you know what? Actually, I might. Yeah, I'm off Saturday. My wife is off. We might fuck around and go to the theater to see that, just to get out of just to break up the routine. But
Yeah, I got you.
perfect segue, which was unintentional, right?
Right.
Okay. In the short term, it makes all the sense in the world to try to do something your competitor, Disney Plus, has committed to not doing. I don't know how many people paid an extra $30 on top of their Disney Plus subscription to watch Mulan, to watch to watch Mulan. Like they planted their feet with Wonder Woman. I thought Wonder Woman 84 was just going to be an outlier because Christmas Day traditionally has been a big day for movie releases.
Right.
But what are your thoughts on them outright telling everyone, hey, this is what it's going to be for the entire calendar year? You know, releases are subject to change, but this is what we're doing right now. Short term, what are your thoughts on that? And long term, what are your thoughts on that?
Short term, it puts a band-aid again, similar to Vince McMahon WWE Network, puts a band-aid on the situation. You have HBO Max, who's I think in third place, third or fourth place in this whole streaming wars. They want a quick boost of numbers to their subscribers and putting movies like their Warner Brothers lineup on the streaming platform is going to get some eyes on their streaming service. No doubt about that. It's going to get headlines. Anytime any Warner Brothers movie trailer gets dropped, everyone's like, okay, cool, I'm ready to watch on HBO Max. But the problem is the guys across the street aren't doing that. The problem is Netflix doesn't have to do that. The problem is so far Peacock doesn't have to do that, even though they're just sure you're the only one in the game that's playing it this style. You have like this wildcat offense that you think is going to get you to TD, and you might get intercepted and returned back for a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? I think in the
Mm-hmm.
short term, yeah, they're gonna get some press this year. They're gonna get press throughout the whole year because Mortal Kombat comes out, Godzilla versus King Kong comes out next month, and you got all these other releases. So sure, they're gonna get press, but in the long run, they pissed off a lot of people, man. They pissed off a hell of a lot of people, man, in the industry. There's relationships that are broken. Christopher Nolan supposedly
Man.
leaving. What
Mm-hmm.
a powerhouse leaving, yo. Like this is fucking Hulk Hogan leaving to the NWO WCW, bro. Like potentially, if he does decide to leave, this is talent. This is relationships were broken because they literally just did this shit on the whim. Well, not on the whim, but they didn't contact nobody saying that yeah, your movie is gonna go straight to streaming. They didn't contact Patty Jenkins. They didn't contact Christopher Nolan. They didn't contact none of these guys give them a heads up about these film or any of the actresses or actors that your film is going to go right on streaming, man. Like so, we got the news, they got the news, and that's just bad. I mean, that's just bad PR, and that's just bad working relationships with your people to the point where they're
Okay.
going to want to work with the opposing team. I mean, all this buzz about these movies and WandaVision got all the buzz right
Man.
now, and that's just not in theaters. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, I don't even know HBO
Right.
Max's next big TV show, their next streaming show. Is it Lovecraft Country season 2? Like, I don't know what they got coming out next, but if they're relying on movies all year long, that's just quick patchwork. And they got to have something in the chamber other than movies. They got to have some shows. They got to have some content to get people
Right.
back on that platform. You cannot rely on movies. I mean, that's patchwork, man. That's just gonna hurt you in the long run. And
Man.
I yeah, man. The other team doesn't need it right now. Your two biggest competitors doesn't need that, literally. And
Uh-huh.
you're the only one that's doing it, and it's not a good look in the long run, in my opinion. What do you think, man?
Okay. So it I'm not gonna say that it's an element of desperation, but it almost comes off like if we're doing this first, I think there might have been some kind of thought process that eventually somebody's going to do this. So our choice is either we do it first or we end up continuing to play catch up ball. It is unique to HBO Max in that, again, the prior conversation we had, that streaming app is catered towards our age demographic.
No
I'm
doubt.
gonna I'm gonna say 25 and up is the demographic there, which so happens, in my opinion, to also be the movie going audience, 25 and up. It is very difficult, in my opinion, for any studio, Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Universal. It is very difficult in this modern age of entertainment, pandemic or not pandemic, to get younger people interested in devoting an hour and a half to 2 hours in a movie theater away from their phones, away from the apps, away from TikTok, social media. That was going to be
Hmm.
an issue regardless of whether or not we were in this current situation we were in. The issue or the thing that I think is a cause for concern is that, like you were saying before, in relation to the WWE network, this is just applying that same thought process to going to the movies. If I'm paying $14.99 a month for HBO Max and I get to see the new Suicide Squad movie in the comfort of my home with my own food, my own alcohol, my own furniture,
Hmm.
I can pause it, go to the bathroom, I can pause it to go to the refrigerator. I can do all of these things that I cannot do when I go to the movies. And it's not going to cost me as much money to be able to do that. Eventually, you are potentially cannibalizing the entire movie going process. You're cutting out the
Oof.
middle. You're cutting out the middleman to be able to supply your product directly to the consumer. And when you do that, whether or not you're aware of it or not, and I'm sure these are people who are much smarter than me. Somebody is aware of what it is that they're doing here. You know what I'm saying? Somebody
Yeah.
somewhere has the foresight to know that what you're doing is putting blood in the water. Even though the other guys haven't done it yet, you're forcing their hand and potentially making this situation a mutually assured destruction. you know, and
That's a
I
good way
don't
to put it.
Yeah, and I don't want to use that term lightly because that term applies to something much more drastic and dangerous than just movies and entertainment. But by making this conscious decision for 1 year, if and when everything kind of picks back up, how do you incentivize? What incentive do you give to people who are already subscribed to this service? What incentive are you giving to people who are subscribing to this streaming service because they want to see the new Mortal Kombat movie, because they want to see the Matrix, because they want to see the movie with Denzel Washington coming up? What incentive do you give these same people once the movie going experience is 75% of what it was before this pandemic? If there's no answer to that question, you potentially fuck yourself for the next 20 to 30 years.
Shit.
And
Yeah,
the
man.
difference, and not to kind of keep going here, but the difference is that in the case of a Vince McMahon is 77 years old. For as long as he's going to live, which is probably going to be a long time, there is no way to where eventually his age is going to catch up to him. That's why he took $1 billion to make that choice, right?
Right, right.
Like, you're literally like Vince McMahon put in all of his hard work in the 80s. In the 80s, buying up all of these territories. And in the 90s, pushing the envelope with his product to where Ted Turner eventually had to bend the knee, right? There was, again, like you said, there was blood, sweat, and tears put into everything that got the WWE in a position to where they could get $1 billion from Fox and $1 billion from NBC Universal and still be able to cash those checks.
Yeah, man.
With HBO Max operating as a storefront for AT&T and Time Warner Media, you're going into uncharted territory just because you want to be able to beat the other guys. And if it doesn't work, you're potentially fucking over the entire industry overall slowly.
You're not lying, dude. That is probable. That is probable when you condition someone for a certain thing where, yeah, I don't want to go out anymore or I don't want to go to movies. I want to watch it here. You know what I'm saying? And to the point where it's like, fuck that. I'll pirate the motherfucker. I'm not gonna go to the movie theaters to see that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, you condition people for conveniency and they don't want the hassle anymore. Like I got my kids now, right? Or someone started out going to movies, and then during this whole pandemic era, they got a kid, and then it's like, well, shit. Like now I have to get a babysitter to see the latest Godzilla movie, or you know what I'm saying, or
Uh-huh.
Mortal Kombat. Nah, that ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna wait for it to hit on the streaming platform in a year. I'll read the reviews. I'll watch the YouTube analysis of it, the breakdown videos. And I'm gonna just wait it out till it hits the app because I know it's gonna hit the app sooner or later. It's gonna hit that app, even if it comes out in theaters. So
See?
you're right, man. You're right because these things have limited shelf life, right? We know 84 got taken away, but we know it's gonna come back eventually. Just like how Aquaman is on there, just how Man of Steel, Bat, all these movies will get on there eventually. But the time gap difference was to make sure that there was box office returns and
Yep.
there was DVD and Blu-ray sales out the gate for home release. Now that you cut all that shit off, now that
Yep.
that's gone, per se, you cut one aspect of it gone. Okay, well I know it's gonna be on DVD and Blu-ray, and then after that, I get the shit on the app. I didn't watch Toy Story 4 in the theaters, and I didn't buy it on Blu-ray and DVD. I can watch Toy Story 4 now on Disney Plus, and I waited the year. I didn't read any spoilers. You know what I'm saying? I didn't read any spoilers. Now I can watch the shit on my own, enjoy it without going to the theater and without buying on DVD and Blu-ray. And a lot of people could be potentially conditioned to this. I mean, not just on HBO Max, but on all these streaming platforms, but specifically Warner Brothers conditioning their customers to say, wait on it and have your conveniency. And that
Yep.
could potentially bite them in the ass later on,
Right.
especially when it comes to the big releases, man. It could flip the game upside down, but not in a good way, and not in a way where it benefits them in the long run. I
Right.
mean, we got hot talent like Christopher Nolan and the Dune director. He was pissed, and you just got James. You just fucking got James Gunn. You just got James Gunn. You just got some new heat. You know what I'm saying? You got some new ammo, right, for the chamber or whatever. And now he's pissed about your decision to put his movie or his project, his contribution to streaming without even giving him any kind of heads up. You think
Right.
James Gunn is going to direct another Warner Brothers movie ever again in his life? I mean,
I
it could
mean,
happen, but it's gonna
right.
it's gonna take more. It's
That
gonna take
remains to
more
be
to
seen.
get him there.
Right. And oh man, and like another part of it is this here, right? When you're in a war, when you're in a situation where you want your opponent to bleed, you want your opponent to feel something, you want to strike a blow that's going to do damage to them, right? The question really comes down to, are you willing to, do you want to hurt your opponent so much to where it might hurt you? Right? How
Right.
much how much do you want to really damage your opponent? How far into this war, into this rivalry, conflict, whatever words you want to put into it, are you willing to go? Because it's clear that at least with Disney Plus, Because if the movie business overall, meaning if the general public are going to the movie theaters, spending their money on tickets, spending their money on popcorn, if you still have an audience out there that's willing to spend money on a physical Blu-ray release, even if we're both in competition with each other, if you're thriving at the box office, the residual effect of you thriving, I'm still supposed to be able to eat off of that, right? That's a
Right.
silent agreement. That's really what it is. It's a silent agreement between Pepsi and Coca-Cola to where, yes, if all of the Pepsi on the shelf at the grocery store sells out, that's great for Pepsi. But if there's still people that want to drink Pepsi but gotta buy Coke because of that, the residual effect on that still works out for Coca-Cola because Pepsi sold out.
Yep.
Right?
Keep
So
talking that talk, man. Talk
at,
that talk.
at what point do you make the conscious decision, okay, yes, this might hurt us, but hopefully this hurts them more? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to cut off a finger if it means that you lose a hand. Because if you don't lose a hand, I still lose a finger.
It's so early in the battle too. I mean, shit.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
didn't even get a chance to really play out your moves. You didn't get a chance to really let it breathe a little bit. You're already going for the fucking like Harakiri from the get go,
Yeah.
man. Like chill out
Yeah,
some.
man. Yeah,
Shit.
you done played that. You done played that. You done busted spades before we done ran through the clubs. You know what I'm saying? Like it could work, and if it does work, yes, it's gonna benefit you in a way to where it doesn't benefit your opponent. But if there's no movie industry to come back to post pandemic, what are we really doing this for? I feel like, in my opinion, the purpose behind streaming is to be a bridge, a gap in between getting you out of the house to consume entertainment and keeping you in your house to consume entertainment. There's only been a handful of movies. Like the reason I think Netflix works the way that it does, and I know this is just a little side tangent. We'll get right back to the topic here in a second.
All right, you're
The
good, man.
reason why the reason why Netflix operates in that space is because they have content on there that can keep you in your house, meaning the original TV series, some of the licensed TV series that are on there. You can sit in your house all day long and watch The Walking Dead, season 1 through 8 on Netflix right now, and be okay with that because that's how you become a fan of The Walking Dead.
Yep, done it before.
but but the thing is, I still view the original content on Netflix to be a certain level. But if I know that there's a movie other than now, because now it's just at a different level, they ramped it up. But in years prior, I'm gonna say in 2018, if there was a movie that came out with a notable actor that went straight to Netflix, eventually I'm gonna watch it. But I'm only gonna watch it after I've watched every episode of Walking Dead season 7 and every episode of Breaking Bad season 5. Eventually, as I'm scrolling through, it's like, oh shit, okay. We got John David Washington in a movie on Netflix. Cool. I'm gonna watch that after I watch Mad Men season 6 for the third time. After I watch Grey's Anatomy season 12 for a third time.
Yep.
Eventually, I'm gonna double back to watch that movie because every time I open up Netflix, there's an ad for it right there, and this looks interesting. They're not selling you on their original programming because even now, I view, and I'm wrong for this, up until The Irishman came out, I didn't take original movies that came out on Netflix seriously. I looked at that the
Mm.
same way that I looked at movies that went straight to DVD. it, it,
You weren't wrong in the quality for some of them, man. They were pretty exact. Sometimes even
right,
cheaper.
right. But in this new era, that's why Netflix is still number one, because they've mastered the art of continuing to give you something to come back to. With HBO Max, do you think that they're desperate? Do you think that this gamble, okay, what do you think is the most likely outcome as a result of this choice that they're making?
The most likely outcome for the choice that they're making is a slight bump in subscribers and nothing more. This is not going to be, I think the most likely result, this won't be a game changer, and this won't turn things around where they gain subscribers on Disney Plus. I think it's going to do more harm than good in the end. They're going to piss off a lot of industry folks, and it's going to be hard to build and make those feature films in the future when those relationships have been strained and there's no trust between the distributor and the movie maker and the crew and the filmmakers and the directors and the producers and the actors and actresses. They're still going to have a little seed in their head of thinking that they're not really out at the drop of a hat. They can do panic and do whatever they want with our film, and we would have no control or say over that. Their parent company, AT&T. And so I think it's going to do more harm than good for them in the end. I don't think it's going to be a complete game changer. I'm not even sure at this point Disney is even going to respond to this kind of move at all, to be honest with you, because let's face it, between WandaVision and now we got Falcon and Winter Soldier coming up and all these other things they have planned, hey, honestly, they can put the ice on all these feature films being released in theaters for another year, and they still would be fine on the app. Let's just say that they still be fine on the app by themselves, man. I know these movies are
Right.
already filmed and done, and they want some return on it, but it'd make them look like a fucking hero, man. If they were like, nah, it's gonna be premium or go to the theater, they would look like you're gonna make the heel look like a baby face.
Right. And you're doing
you
this,
know.
man. Right. Yes. You're doing this willingly too, though. Like, you're making the conscious decision to you're actually doing this on your own accord. It's not like you're facing a level of pressure that you can't necessarily deal with, because again, in prior conversations, the three letters HBO meant that this was a higher level of cable. This was a higher level of premium content that had a stamp of approval, meaning you're only going to be able to see this here, right? And I don't want to repeat myself too much, but this was the same network that had The Sopranos and The Wire running concurrently during the same period of time, right? These are two of
Right.
the greatest TV series that were on the same channel during the same time period, right? How do we
Mm-hmm.
go from that? How do we go from Floyd Mayweather and Oscar De La Hoya and Mike Tyson only being able to fight and only being able to be seen on this network to literally cutting one of your legs off in hopes that you cut off both legs of your opponent? I don't understand that, because once we come out of this, why am I going to drink Hennessy when I can drink champagne? And you're giving me a discounted price. My bad. Champagne is probably fuck it. Yeah. Why are you gonna cut the? You're literally selling me Hennessy for half of the price and telling me that it's champagne, even though I know that it's Hennessy and I like to drink Hennessy. But the guys across the street, they're selling me Hennessy, but they're also telling me, yeah, you buying the Hennessy right now, and because we know you like to drink Hennessy, we still got the champagne on ice in the back. Just chill out, because we got you. You know what I'm saying? You can drink Hennessy at home, right?
Right. Right.
You can drink the Hennessy at home and get as drunk as you want to in the comfort of your own home. But when it's time to drink champagne, it might cost you a little bit more, but you're gonna feel better being less drunk when you
And you're
drink the
gonna enjoy
champagne,
it. Hell
and you
yeah, man.
and you can enjoy it. Like, what do we?
Oh man. Yeah.
And 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 and, and okay, and just to kind of before we wrap this up, because I think we can still get some mileage out of this. You're still planning on going to see Mortal Kombat in theaters, right?
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm going.
You're still planning on going to see Godzilla versus King Kong in theaters as well.
Hopefully IMAX.
Dune?
Nah, I'm gonna pass on Doom, man. It's no, man. It's probably a good movie, but I don't have a connection to that, so
I agree.
I'll
Yeah,
pass. It's
that
just
was a
not.
little bit.
It's probably gonna be good.
That was a little bit before our time. The Matrix.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Suicide Squad.
Most most deaf man. Game James Gunn back.
Yeah,
Bang bang.
like so. I mean, because for me and you as purists, we're still probably going to make that effort to enjoy it the way that it's meant to be enjoyed. But that's something to look out for. If my last thought on this before you wrap this up here, brother, I just want to say to anyone listening to what it is that we're saying here, if you are a purist, meaning the person who is still committed to enjoying any form of entertainment the way that it was intended, whether that be someone who still buys vinyl, still buys CDs, comic books, physical hard copies. If you're a sports fan like myself, boxing is my favorite sport, even though UFC is probably a better operated sport than boxing. If you are a purist of any type of entertainment, just know that the person who is meant to market that product to you has you and your best interest in mind at the bottom of their list.
Yeah. Yeah, man. This is the streaming wars. Literally, the gloves are off, and anything goes. And you're a pawn, man. I mean, let's just face it. They're trying to hurt us, right? In the any direction that they can,
Yep.
and anything goes. So, I mean, I hate to say like, oh, we're sheep, but I mean to a degree, there's
Yep.
higher power out there that's going to influence us to do certain things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you still watch Monday Night Raw, God bless you.
Right, right. Right, man. No, you ain't telling no lies, yo. Like, if I'm gonna see movies in the theaters, like why would you do that? You could just get HBO Max. And it's like, well, that's just me, man. Like that's that influence of where I just want it that way. And I'm willing to pay higher for it than, the average person might be able to, man.
Yep.
Like,
Shout out to
yeah.
the purists.
Shout out to the purists, y'all. And for y'all who feeling the content, make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. And with that, we're out.